I'm not a fan of Dr. Oz's campaign in Pennsylvania. I think he's kind of an out-of-touch guy, doesn't really fit the demo, if you will. But I think he can win. And while I'm not a fan of Dr. Oz, my friend Selena Zito is a great reporter who knows Pennsylvania, and she assures me he's everywhere in Pennsylvania. The national media isn't really paying attention to what's going on the ground there, that he's outworking John Fetterman, the Democrat. Fetterman is out memeing Oz, and so he's winning the Twitter war, but the Twitter war is not real life, as we see time and time again. And then there's another data point you need to understand. I don't want to give away confidences and private conversations. But in the last month, mid to end of July, Herschel Walker in Georgia has not gotten national media attention, but Herschel Walker in Georgia has realigned his political team. He's kind of shaken it up. He's reorganized it. He's brought in new people. He knew he needed to do so. A friend of mine who is involved said Walker called him and said, I am in this to win it, and I need a team that's going to get me across the finish line first. Herschel Walker wants to win. And he has done what he believes need be done so that he can win. Have you heard that in the national media anywhere? If you listen to the national media says the campaign's in disarray. The campaign team doesn't like him. They don't trust him. They're leaking about him. He's not a good candidate. He's not with the press. Actually, Herschel Walker did an event in Watkinsville, Georgia. Or I'm sorry, he Wrightsville, Georgia. He went to his hometown. Herschel Walker went to his hometown and had a crowd that was so large that they had to shut it down. They had to shut the whole thing down. Too many people showed up out in rural Georgia. And he's having events around the state, and the local media is present, and they get to ask him questions, and he doesn't run from them, but that's not the national media narrative. And it got me thinking about Dr. Oz. So my friends on the ground in Pennsylvania, Selena Zito, who's a great reporter who's on the ground in Pennsylvania, she tells me that on the ground, Dr. Oz is everywhere. He's out hustling Fetterman. He's gone to every county in Pennsylvania. Some of them, key areas, he's gone to multiple times. He's meeting people. The crowds are growing. There's good word of mouth. And the polling, the national polling, which is very bad at the state level for a lot of reasons, shows Fetterman in the lead. But Emerson College poll actually has him pretty close. And he's doing really good on the ground there. So it got me really thinking, so much of our perception, you as well, frankly, even though you may deny it, because you read a lot of conservative sites who read the news sites at the national level and then reprocess them and repackage them as their own reporting. You think you're getting original analysis and you're not. We're all being shaped by this national view from the press, from the conservative national press, from the liberal national press, from the mainstream media that already leans to the left. And it shapes our opinions and stuff. And so here I am in Georgia, an observer directly of Herschel Walker's team. And the national press says he's a weak candidate, unlikely to beat Raphael Warnock, but he's within 5 points in the polling average. I, being a student of history and also someone who ran political campaigns in Georgia, am distinctly aware that in Georgia in August, Republicans statewide tend to run, on average, about 5 points behind the Democrats for a lot of reasons. So I'm looking at Herschel Walker's campaign. He's retooled his campaign. He's brought in people I know are highly competent people who have a great win-loss record in politics. He's brought them in the last month. He's retooled his campaign. He's getting on the campaign trail. His events are growing. The number of people showing up at his events are growing. His fundraising is increasing. His TV ads are coming online. He's got a great message in a climate that's hostile to the Democrats, where Joe Biden's polling is below 40% in Georgia, and the national media is still fixated on a narrative from 2 months ago. It suggests the national media isn't up to speed on what's happening, and to the extent they are, they're trying to package it as something to help Raphael Warnock. And if that's happening in Georgia, maybe it's happening in Pennsylvania. So maybe Dr. Oz isn't doing as bad as the national media shows, because Herschel Walker, I assure you, from firsthand experience in Georgia, knowing what's going on the campaign trail, Herschel Walker is not doing as badly as the national media would have you believe. And if that's true of him, maybe it's true of Dr. Oz. And I also know, by the way, that it's true of J.D. Vance in Ohio. J.D. Vance in Ohio is going to win Ohio. Ohio is a Republican state. J.D. Vance connects with people in Ohio. J.D. Vance is going to win, but the national media and many of the same national Republican consultants who hated Donald Trump, they don't like J.D. Vance, and so they're seeding a narrative against him. Now, state-level polling is really bad. And a lot of the evidence for how badly these Republicans are doing is from state-level polling. But I think the student loan issue itself will help a lot of these Republicans over time. You know, let me just spend a moment on Herschel Walker in Georgia. Herschel Walker is from South Georgia. He is from a fairly poor part of the state of Georgia. I have listeners in that part of the state. I have affiliates in that part of the state. Herschel Walker is from Wrightsville, Georgia. The big employer there is Johnson State Prison. In the 2010 census, there were 2,195 people there. He's in a part of the state, it's middle of Georgia to the east of the Macon area. If you look on a map and you see Dublin, Georgia on I-16, it's a little bit to the northeast of there. North of there is Sandersville. Kaolin is a big industry down there. There are a lot of poor people in a very flat, hot part of the state. I'm looking on Wikipedia right now from the 2020 census. 52% of Wrightsville are black, 44% white. Not a lot of people. Not a great deal of education there. A lot of people leave. They don't come back. Those who stay are going to be bailing out people with college loans, and they won't have any. Can you imagine if Herschel Walker went to Wrightsville, where in that county, Johnson County, a lot of the roads are dirt roads. You get him down in Wrightsville, and you put him on one of the dirt roads. And he looks at the camera, and he says, "My name is Herschel Walker. I'm from one of these dirt roads in Wrightsville, Georgia, where the largest employer is the prison. And I took one of these dirt roads out of my town to college and national football fame. And I want a Georgia where all roads lead to your success. And Raphael Warnock wants a Georgia where you are paying for the success of others." Be a hell of a message, wouldn't it? Did that off the top of my head. I used to write campaign commercials. I'm Herschel Walker. I'm from what people in Atlanta would call dirt poor, middle of nowhere, Georgia. And I became something with hard work. You've become something with hard work too. And Raphael Warnock wants you and your hard work to pay off the debts of people who didn't want to put the time and energy in to pay off their student loans, who probably make more money than you. You did the right thing, and Raphael Warnock is punishing you with Joe Biden's policies. I want to reward you in your hard work. I want to make it so you can be successful, not so your success can go to benefit other people. These ads write themselves. Herschel Walker's got a message. And he's an optimist in the American dream, and he lived the American dream, and he's running against a guy who wants to use your success in the American dream to reward people who don't want to pay their own student loans. Raphael Warnock claims to be a minister. Now, I don't know what God Raphael Warnock worships, not the one of the Bible. It's clear from the way he talks. But in Scripture, in Psalms, it talks about how It's the bad people, the wicked, who borrow and don't pay back their debts. And Raphael Warnock wants to reward those people. Herschel Walker walked out of Wrightsville, Georgia, in a county with a whole lot of dirt roads. And he headed up to the University of Georgia. With his hard work and football, made something of himself and became successful. He's lived the American dream, and he wants you to live the American dream and not use your American dream to turn it into your nightmare while others benefit off your hard work. There is a compelling message for Republican candidates there if they'll seize on it. But the other side of this is this. If you read the national media, Politico is working on a hit job on Herschel Walker based on old news. They got a young reporter in Georgia right now in the Politico trying to stir up mud on Herschel Walker, trying to distract, trying to live off the old narrative. And if the media is so convinced to an old narrative that I have seen with my own eyes and know not to be true, he's shaken up his campaign. He's brought in new people. He wants to win. He's playing to win. The crowds are growing. He's all over the state. He's hanging out with people he's seen and being seen and engaging and engaged and funny. And if the national media can't update their narrative about him, maybe they can't do it about J.D. Vance. Maybe they can't do it about Dr. Oz. Maybe they can't do it about Adam Laxalt. Maybe they can't do it about Blake Masters. Maybe they don't want to do it is the point. And if so, the awakening is going to be even ruder for the Democrats when November gets here, and they are swept out by a big red wave of angry people who don't think that their hard work should go to benefit people who can't pay off their student loans and make more money than them.